This is Octave Leap. Innovation, regeneration, and human optimization.
Welcome back to the Octave Leap podcast with your host, David Kahn. And this is our second podcast of the year and the first of a very new series where I'm very excited to be bringing on some amazing people that are working in the sphere of aligned business, spiritual business, and using different techniques, what I call innovative techniques, to really make business a fun and prosperous experience. And my first guest today is Marie McKenzie, who is going to join me to talk about, soul-aligned business and numerology. So I'm going to just introduce Anne-Marie, and how are you doing today, by the way?
I am great, and I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yes. And I just want to say it's been lovely chatting with you, and I feel like there's a lot of common ground that we share. Do you feel that the way that you approach business is drastically different than the way most people think about business?
Yes and no. The reason why I say yes and no is because I am very intentional with my energy. And so I only hang out in spaces with people that are very much aligned. So in my world, it's very common, but I would say for maybe the rest of the world, not so much.
Yeah, I think I can really identify with that, because that's sort of where I become. I talk to friends who, their work is more with the average person, out there in the world. And they're like, no, people are still struggling with this and having challenges with that. And I'm like, oh, really? I thought everyone just did what they want to do. And I think it's interesting because we get in our, bubbles and our chambers with the people that we hang out with, and we can see the beautiful synergy that's happening. We can see this upwelling of completely new ways to do things. And we have to remember there is an old way that's still sort of slowly making its way out of circulation. So tell me, with the people you hang around and the way that you approach business, what are the energetics of that like? Like, what does that really feel like for you?
It's heart-centered leadership and very values-driven. So we come from this powerful place of using the intelligence of our heart, which is the greatest resource that all of us have. And coming from this powerful place of expansion, because we understand the emotional energetics, probably first and foremost. A lot of people that I work with are the healers and the coaches and empaths and psychic sensitives. And the emotional piece is what I think a lot of us struggle with when we are stepping into business and we are being encouraged to hop on the old masculine models. That's why it doesn't work for us, because the energetics are off, particularly emotionally. So when we come from this space of heart intelligence first, and knowing our emotional intelligence and understanding the values that we want to embody, well, that's where the soul alignment starts to begin to happen, and the energetic management begins to happen for us to be able to actually be our own inner authority and show up and do what it is that we're here to do.
Amazing, and very well articulated. My approach is definitely getting people in to their body and embodying the business, bringing the vision down from here and starting with here, and just creating that amplification of the business's resonance. Because when people do that, they naturally, the next step is they form clarity around what's in alignment and what's not in alignment for my business. And then after that, I find the messaging starts to flow very naturally. And then after that, they can be like, my business needs this feature or this system here versus that one. And they're able to kind of choose based on this feeling of really being in sync with their business needs and also what works for them. And I definitely agree too. I don't always feel, for me personally, it's in and through the heart, but I use the word heart-based a lot. And I feel like the heart's intelligence is fundamental to this. But I also see it too as an embodiment process as well.
Absolutely. There's the vision piece is, it tends to be first, but it's about reverse engineering that process. I'm a recovering A-type, so I'm notorious for setting goals and smashing them. and not always feeling amazing or on fire, even when I smash the goal. And, you know, in my world, that's not really a victory. That's not really success. So I started to figure out, you know, yes, I have this vision and I know how to cast it and call it in, but how can I do that in a way that feels really good for me and feels really good for my team and for my clients and for my community and for my family as well. I've had relationships in business and romantic relationships who have said, like, if you do that thing again, like, we're not going to make it, because it was impacting all the other relationships in my world. And that's not really the vision that I was calling upon. So also understanding that, yes, there's like this vision of our business, but there's this vision of our life that is meant to be combined. And when we reverse engineer that, what that looks like is getting clear on the intelligence of the heart. So sometimes people come to me and they're like, this is what I want. I want 6 figures. I want to work 25-hour weeks, right? Like, we can, you know, get detailed on like the masculine aspects of it. And then that's where I start to carve in, okay, let's get into the heart. And that's where numerology ends up coming in, because sometimes emotional intelligence and heart intelligence is tricky. We weren't taught this. I don't know about you, David, but was not taught this in school, was not taught this by my family. I didn't figure it out until like my mid to late 30s, and didn't really become a master of it until like 8 to 10 years later.
Look, I struggled with actually being quite academic and quite intellectual in my early days. You know, did really well in school, really kind of inclined that way, encouraged that way. But I did encounter spirituality about 20 years ago, but it was a long path of really embodying heart-centered sort of awareness. And, you know, I'm 39 now, and it's taken me just the last probably 5 years or so is when really it's landed. And it's like, oh my God, it's such a lightening of the load that we carry, right? And I think one of the biggest problems in society is this utilitarianism that we carry, which is the ends justify the means, right? So like you're saying with these goals, so we set a goal, I want to work, or I want to earn 100K, you know, I want to be a 6-figure or whatever, right? Cool, all right, you want to do that, and then how are you going to get there? Well, I'm going to slam it out. I'm going to just like commit. I'm going to like, you know, minimalize my life. I'm going to like turn my phone off and not talk to anyone. And it's just this hard road. And you see this too. It's like everything in society is kind of based on this. Well, you know, a mining company wants to go and like, you know, get some gold. So they'll do anything to do that as affordably as possible. And the consequences of taking a misaligned path to get to that end don't make the end what we thought it would be.
Absolutely.
And it throws off and creates a whole lot of extra issues in the process that we then later have to deal with. And so what I'm really feeling in your words is that when we do have that aim or that vision of what we want, and we carve out this flow, and we're kind of working in tandem with, you know, life to do that in a way that every little point, every step on that curve or path feels really good.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
More
of that. More of that.
You know, what's interesting I've noticed is that, like when I was setting up Octavely, for instance, like I have goals for the future, but at every stage I assess how excited are we about this, me and the partners. And it's like, even when we're like, you know, coming up with the ideas and stuff like that, it's the same level of excitement as, you know, bringing on a big client, or, you know, doing something big, or you know, having some experience. It's like, wow, it's that same feeling. It's just a different flavor of it. And I think that indicator, because it is a real welling of the heart space, I think that indicator is really, in my opinion, what people should seek in business. They can have their goals, it's great as an aim, but that feeling that really connects them and then overflows into the rest of their life.
It's one of the languages of the universe. That's how we speak to the universe. The universe doesn't understand, I don't want to feel stressed. The universe doesn't understand, right? Like, can you please make it so I'm not so burnt out? And, you know, like the universe just hears, what, stress? Like, here's a bunch of red lights on your way to the place where you're already late. But if we come from this this powerful place of emotional intention, we start speaking the language of the universe, and the universe is like, wait, what? David's here to play. He is choosing abundance. He is choosing excitement. He is choosing freedom. and he
Yeah.
is aligning his thoughts, and he is choosing inspired actions that reflect that. And so let's play. Let's see what portals of possibility we can open from that place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course, we know life isn't always about perfect alignment, but it is that dance. And I think life is more fun when we go out of alignment and then we have that process of course correcting, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll give you guys a perfect example. I had a really awesome time building this up, but I kind of built a little monster where, there's too much work sometimes. And it's like, okay, I've got to put in these late nights and, I don't have help. And, like, people are emailing. And it's just like, we can get into these little things, but it's important also to step back and say, okay, I am out of alignment right now with things. We can bring this back into alignment. It might take a little bit of time, but that's where we're heading. So not getting overwhelmed, not letting it kind of spiral out too far, and just kind of bringing it back into that thing. And that's the process of refinement and commitment and refinement that I think really helps us grow and mature as human beings with regards to not just our business, but also flowing through into our life.
I agree. Yeah. It is a dance. It can be a lot of fun. It can be pretty icky and challenging. I know that for quite a few people, it's felt like dragging a parachute through the mud the last few years. But we are, for a vision, we found water, and we got in the water, and our parachute got in the water, and then we moved to a beautiful meadow, and we gazed up at the stars, and then we watched the clouds float by, and then one day Mama Earth just went, and our parachute caught, and away we go. We go.
Yeah. What a beautiful metaphor for
Feels
that.
good, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And life is going to provide those things where we fall in the water and the parachute's sort of like down, and we can kick and scream, or we can enjoy it. Well, look at the stars, look at the scenery, and then trust that there'll be a wind to blow through. I want to ask you more about the language of the universe, and specifically how numerology ties into that. Because numerology is a little bit different than mathematics, because it gets to the energy and the symbolism of numbers. So I'd love to hear how those two fascinating themes tie into each other.
Okay. So an example would be, as we were waiting for this connection to happen, there was a countdown timer. So I have things I do with my hands, and I have breath that I take. And in a moment, I realized I don't know if the timer is going to go off and tell me that we're here to go live. So I kind of did one of these, like peeked, and I saw 22.
The master number.
Then I took another deep breath, few more, did another one of these, and I saw 11. I'm like, okay. Then when we came out and we started talking, I noticed that there was live on the top left corner, and I saw 111. So I work with a spiritual support team. There are different people on my team for different reasons, just like we would have a physical team. And to me, this was my spiritual support team telling me that we've got this. It's going to be a great conversation. Let it flow. You're dialed in. We're here with you. We're supporting you. Keep sharing your ideas. Create community, like connect to your people. And again, come from that powerful heart space. So I use it as a way to strengthen my intuition and communicate with my spiritual support team and teach other people how to do that. And then once I really got into numerology, I was like, whoa, we could not only do business in a completely different way, but we can learn how to integrate the feminine into the masculine structures of business, like by strengthening our intuition and using our psychic gifts and abilities, and learn how to flow. But we can also collapse timelines. We can also kind of, I don't want to say, we're not spiritually bypassing, we're not jumping steps, but we get to the good stuff. We get to the good stuff. So numerology really allowed me and supports my clients to get to the nitty gritty of like, who are you? And what's your relationship like with you? And what are you here to do? Like, what's your purpose? What are your gifts? What are your blessings? What are your challenges? And then what experiences have you gone through that are going to support your soulmate clients? And who are those soulmate clients? And numerology can pinpoint exactly who our soulmate clients are. Now, when I started this business in 2015 as a side hustle, I went through a course, I went through a program, and they asked me who my ideal customer avatar was. And I'm like, ugh, like I don't even, I can't stand the term avatar for a client, but I was guessing. I was completely guessing. And I remember crafting up this person, and I even gave them a name and, you know, what they wear and what they do. And I never fully stepped into being of service with that client because I didn't believe it. I really looked at who I created, and I didn't feel that I was the right person to support that soulmate client because I didn't have some of those things. And then I jumped into numerology, and I had a lot of breakdowns to breakthroughs because I literally found out that that person that my intuition led me to in 2015 is my soulmate client. This is who I'm meant to serve. And it was so powerful, David, that to know this. And when it came to me, it was truth. And I know you know what I mean. Like when you hear something, right? Like, you know, in every cell of your body, you feel it in your body that it's truth. And I was like, oh, I get to do this for clients now. I get to do this for other people, to support them in collapsing this timeline of, I think this is who I'm meant to serve, to like, it is who you're meant to serve. Can we get to the good stuff? Can we get to the trusting and the surrendering and the believing and the service and creating the content and creating the messages and the courses and the services and the offerings for this specific person? Because it's embedded in your energetic code. It literally is who you are, and it's who your soul chose to be. It's the contract that your soul made with yourself to enter into this lifetime and step into this work as your own inner authority.
Isn't it fascinating? It's like we have these tools, and I'm an astrologer as well, that like, you know, the universe is intelligent and says, okay, it's going to be a bit of a, you know, distraction fest when you get down to planet Earth, but like, we have these systems there, and we've left you enough breadcrumbs that if you just learn the system and you look back on the breadcrumbs, you can help yourself navigate and you can find the waypoint. And I think really what I'm feeling and what you're saying too is that we don't bypass, but we work at a different frequency setting where things happen much faster. Right? And so when we're working on that frequency setting, because I have a thing I do with people, it's called Meet Your Community, and it's basically like a meditation, but they go into a very deep internal space, and they actually like, it's a little bit, you know, it's quantum in a way, but they meet that person, and so they get a real feeling of them. But it's interesting too, because people can second guess it. It's like, did I really meet that person? Is that really my ideal customer? Totally. But what you're saying is that there's actually like a hardwiring, like the numbers would point to that. And so people that are fluent in numerology could say, oh my God, that intuitive hit that I got, like you said when you were imagining your ideal customer, that was then confirmed through another symbolic system.
I know.
And what did that feel like when you understood, when you saw the numbers and you understood that? Like how did that make you feel?
Validating.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I know that seeking validation outside of ourselves is kind of a form of wounded feminine, but we're human. We're in Earth school, like you said. Like, it's dense, it's hard, it's challenging sometimes. And so, you know, to get that outside validation just builds the confidence to go out there and do what it is that we're meant to do. And then we get to go play in those realms. And once we start to play and be of service, then those experiences confirm and continuously validate, yeah, I'm on the right track. This is what I'm meant to be doing. This is who I'm meant to be serving. And these are my soulmates. This is my soul family. Every client that I work with, I feel is also a friend. And that, again, is something in the masculine model, the masculine business structure. I remember one of my mentors, she said, your clients aren't your friends. Like, you don't take them out for a drink and you don't share personal things with them. And I was like, that sounds boring. Like, it's not really the way that I want to live my life. I want to live my life that, you know, in a way that if my clients are all of a sudden in Canada, where I live, and in the neighborhood, they want to hang out with me. And that's what happens. Clients come, we're in my neighborhood. Hey, I'm going to be in Vancouver, BC. I would love to see you. And we went and had wine and oysters together. And it was lovely. It was wonderful. Like, it deepened our relationship. It really strengthened that connection that we had and solidified that we were meant to meet each other and we were meant to work together. And this is what it looks like. Yeah. That's what I want.
Hey, I'm 100% with you. And, you know, I've actually gotten flack from people saying, what do you mean you're making friends with your clients? And like, that feels right to me. Don't question it. At some point, I actually threw out a lot of the rules in business and a lot of the like common sense and all that. And I'm like, I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to see what feels right to me. And I'm going to build a business based on that. And it's so much more enlivening. That's the only word I can have. Like, there's literally more life force. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it gets busy and I have to commit to fulfilling commitments, but at the same time, there's so much more passion, there's connection. It's like, who are friends in your life? It's like the people you work with, the people that are your clients. Like, this is your family, your tribe. Like, you're building something together.
Mm-hmm. We can approach this and be extremely compassionate and develop friendships with boundaries.
Yes, of course.
I think that was like the missing piece, and why the old business mentors and coaches would recommend that and would say you shouldn't be friends with your clients, because they're talking from past experience where they did that, but they didn't have the boundaries in place and they saw the negative consequences because of that. My relationships with my clients are very different in the sense that you're my friend and you have access to me, but not all the time. You can send me a Voxer message anytime, but I promise I'll respond by Friday. That's your guarantee. You'll get a message back on Friday, not 10 seconds after you sent it, not an hour after you sent it, not even 24 hours after you send it. Friday's the day where I respond. If there's other pockets of time, they know that I'll respond, but they don't expect it. And because of that, they respect it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good, healthy boundary to share. And it's very specific and very clear for people, because we talk about boundaries, but sometimes people who are maybe exploring what their boundaries look like, they can hear that through their own lens. So thank you for sharing something very specific there.
My energetic code in numerology supported me to understand what boundaries I needed to set with people and with myself.
Okay. Let's get into the good stuff, because you just said something there that really made me excited. Like, what can you learn from numerology about yourself?
Oh my gosh, so much. Okay.
Yeah, and what does it look like too? Like, I mean, is just like you're an 8 or you're a 3? Like, what is this?
So there's layers upon layers of energy. So we have our own personal code. We have a ruling number, a personal day number. So this is who you are intrinsically and then how you present yourself to the world. We have a personal year that we are in, and that personal year is an energy for the year to support us with focus for expansion. And we also have a season that we're in, which is a 9-year cycle. And we go through these 4 seasons, and that really sheds light on our purpose. And this was also very validating to begin to understand that we don't have one purpose in this lifetime. I'm like, oh, this is amazing, because I get bored quite easily as a creative. So what's your purpose? And then to choose something and feel like we have to be stuck in that purpose for a very long time, numerology tells us otherwise. There's also our energetic grid, which really starts to peel back the layers of the nitty-gritty details of who it is that we are and the influences that we have. So the ruling number, because I study numerology from Pythagoras, we have a number from 2 to 11. So Pythagoras didn't believe that the number 1 was to be coded to any one individual, because it represents oneness, God, Goddess, all that is, the universe, source. And to me, that aligns, that makes sense. Same with our personal day number. When we shift to every other layer, we're working with the energies of 1 to 9. And those energies also represent the manifestation cycle, the 1 to 9. So here's an example. Myself, I'm a ruling number 3. So I know that I'm an activator. And at first I was like, what is that? Like, what does that even mean? I'm an activator. So I ask my clients, what do you like best about working with me? And they're like, honestly, you just fucking say it like it is. Like, you kind of kick me in the ass when I need a good kick in the ass, but you do it with so much love and humor and charm and kindness that it's not bothersome. In fact, it's the opposite. It really makes me feel like you care. So I had a client, for example, who frequently makes new choices but keeps one foot in the past. So she's always got one foot in, one foot out. And another situation came about and she was describing the details of it, and I said, sounds like you have one foot in and one foot out. When have we heard this before? And she's like, ugh, and so we had like a good chuckle about it. So the activator of the ruling number 3, and I'm a creator and I create abundance through creation. What was super cool though, personal day is 211. So this means extremely intuitive and has a spiritual path. So I'm like, okay. Then energetic influences is where it gets really cool. I looked at my energetic code and my partner's energetic code, and we're almost identical when it comes to the energetic grid. I'm like, no wonder we get along, but also no wonder why we do this sometimes. So in my birthday, for example, I have 1, 2, 3. So that's the arrow of the planner. So does he. So when we do something, if there's no plan, it's a disaster. If I'm trying to plan and not including him in the plans, it's a disaster, and vice versa. So now we know we're about to move this month. Let's go out for dinner. Let's talk about what the plan is, and let's come up with something that feels really good for both of us. I also realized, I created a planner, something called the Soulful Planner. It's like an energetic management system. And I created it, and then I was like, after, in hindsight, I go, oh my gosh, I created this because I have the arrow of the planner. Not everybody knows how to plan. Not everybody wants to plan. Not everybody understands energetic management systems like I do. That is a part of who I am. This is a part of what it is that I am here to do, to serve other people. I also have something called the arrow of frustration. So it means that anytime I have to do anything that does not interest me, it leads to frustration and it leads to me being out of alignment. And the moment that I step into that place, shit hits the fan, for lack of a better term. It doesn't flow. It doesn't work. So my invitation, the portal of growth for me, was to learn how to say no, was to learn how to set boundaries, was to learn how to ask for help for things that are not of interest to me. I love numbers. I don't want to look at a Google sheet. I don't want to look at Excel. I always joke and say I'm allergic to them. And I want my bookkeeping to be top notch, but I don't want to do that work. So I know that that's something that I need to hire out in my business. And I also know that people who are coming to me, my clients, they need support with saying no, setting energetic boundaries, and getting really clear on their zone of genius.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Totally makes sense.
Right?
I totally get it, because I love Excel. I love making complicated spreadsheets, and I know so many people hate them. And so, it works well when you're in a team where it's like oh gosh, you'll do that? Thank you. You like that? That's amazing.
Exactly.
But being able to know that, we can learn it through life experience and going through something and seeing the pattern play out again and again and again. Or we can sort of recognize it, like you're saying. It's like, this is where I would run into frustration if I'm doing something I don't like. But then, really getting specific with it. So what is the solution? Okay. And when you keep that in mind, if you find yourself repeating the pattern, you'll know that there was a prompt that you tuned into and you're aware of, and that you can get clarity a lot quicker. So back to what you're saying before about that faster growth path or the more direct path, there's a real beauty in this. And I have to admit right now, I'm very excited and very intrigued by learning more about numerology. I've dipped my toe in numerology. I have in the past. It was Hans Deckos. He had a free course, the World Numerology. So I took that, and it was pretty fun. But I got kind of busy with other things, and sometimes when the material is the presenter sometimes, and I didn't fully resonate with him. So, but the way you're talking about it's really exciting.
Thanks.
So, I guess if somebody like me right now had like a burning like, how can I like learn more right now? Because there must be calculators or something I could just like type my information into. So
the quickest way for you to figure out your ruling number is just it's very simple. The reason why I love numerology is because of its simplicity. There are other modalities out there, and I feel about human design how you felt about numerology. I have not found, I'm starting to, but I haven't found anybody who speaks of human design in a way that resonates with me. So I get that. I know that why numerology comes so easily for me and so for so many people is we've been working with numbers since we were children. We've been working with math and science for a very long time. So the language isn't new. It's not a new language to remember. And we all know basic mathematics, right? We all know how to add. So to calculate your ruling number, you're just mapping out your birthday and adding up all the numbers and reducing them to a number between 2 to 11.
Okay, so can I use myself as an example?
Yeah, just in case you asked, I've got pen and paper. So what's your birthday?
January the 12th, 1984.
So I already want to laugh because I call in tons of people in my life who have multiple ones in their birthday. This is not a coincidence. So I also know that I work with creatives. I work with people who love to talk, who love to have conscious conversations, who are very innovative, who are very inspirational, and love to start things, but not always finish them. Not always finish them, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I give them permission. Like you, for example, you have 3 1s and 1 9. The 9 is the completion number. You're actually only meant to complete 33.3% of what you start. So like magic wand, permission granted, you're meant to start things, but not everything is for you. You're meant to give other people ideas. Okay, so your ruling number. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 14, 22, 26. So your ruling number 8.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I've known this, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But
so
maybe your insight on the number 8 can go a bit deeper than what I know.
Whenever I see the number 8, I think infinite abundance. I think a creative master to their craft. And this term, like, devote yourself to done, comes through. There's also a visualization of Beauty and the Beast. So the 8, when you lay it on its side, right, it's a pattern. And so it represents to me the dichotomous world that we live in, the light, the dark, the hot, the cold, the positive, the negative. And the 8's role is to not allow the things that they can't do, stop them from the things that they can do. And that's where the mastery piece comes in for the 8.
It's like a flow of energy around the two polarities in a way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way I see the 8. And that's where the energy comes with it and the abundance and sort of,
So in terms of the work that you do and things that you do for your clients, you probably are able to easily see this is an area of, weakness, for lack of a better term, or this is not their zone of genius. This isn't what they're meant to be doing. This is where they're meant to go get support and hire somebody and create systems and structures so they don't have to enter into that realm anymore. But here is the gifts that they have. Here is what it is that they are meant to do. These are their strengths. These are their values. Does that resonate as something that
110%, like you're hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So that's so cool, because that's often what I do is I help people find, I call it unconventional, but it's like those areas that they're struggling with that exactly they need support, but they know needs to get done.
Yeah.
And I help them bring out sort of their own way of doing it. So it's a way that works for them, because a lot of the time people are just programmed. They're like, oh, this is the way you have to do it because, best practices or conventional thinking says that. I'm like, no, you don't. Make up your own way.
You connect them to abundance. So when they When they spend time with you, you like the energy that they're borrowing from you is your abundance of wisdom and knowledge, your abundance of resources, your abundance of ideas, your abundance of inspiration. So they get to borrow all of that energy by being in your field when they work with you.
Well put. Yeah, that totally lands well.
Yeah.
Cool. So anybody can just take their birth month, birth date, and then the 4 digits of the year, add them all up. So mine is like I think it's 26. If you add all those up, and then you reduce those two numbers to a single digit, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. Now, is there anything the 26 or do you look at those two numbers as well? Like, would you look at the 2 and the 6?
Not yet. And the reason being is I have a tendency to, and the 8 will do this too. So Marie McKenzie is my full name, and that's the energy of an 8. So I understand 8 very well. So I have a tendency to create overwhelm, unnecessary overwhelm by too much, too fast, too soon kind of thing. And then sometimes what happens is like this weight of the world shows up because of it, and then encourages the 8 to play small. So instead of like really, I am a master, I am advanced, but instead of waiting to know all of the things, I'm working with what I got. And I know that there's significance to that, but I'm not going to go there yet because there's all these other factors that have more power in that layer of energy than the 26. Now, if it was 33 that equated to a 6, I would pay attention to that because of the double 3s. It means that person might resonate more with 3 than they do the 6. That's the same with myself. My personal day number is 11/2. It could be one or the other. I will feel more fulfilled in my life if I follow the path of the 11 rather than the 2, which is an amplified version of the 2. So basically what I looked at was the low vibration, like the very low frequency of the 2 is black and white thinking. So as soon as I get into black and white thinking, I know that I'm about to enter into conflict with somebody. That's my 2. And then I pause, take a deep breath, come into my heart, and ask, what are multiple perspectives within this situation? Like, how can I show up with more love, more kindness, more ease? And the moment that I do that, I step into the energy of the 11 rather than that low vibration of the 2. So I move into my intuition, which is also the 2. I move into community and unity. Like, I really care about your ideas and your perspective and your beliefs, and I want to have a conscious conversation about it. So I move into that spiritual teacher of the 11. So when it's double digits, yes. In terms of, any of the other equations, not so much right now. Yeah.
You really speak, you're really able to unpack the symbolism very beautifully and relate it to life. And I guess that's something that's the skill part of being a numerologist, right? So, we can sort of punch our birth date into a calculator or add it up manually. But I guess there is no replacing somebody who has that experience at the same time too, right?
I don't want numerology to be this modality where there's gatekeepers. And I find that in other things. Like, I love astrology. I also see a little bit of gatekeeping happening. I'm starting to understand human design, but there is so much gatekeeping where it's like, you have to book a session with me to even understand the words that are coming out of this report. Whereas with numerology, and I've given you and your audience to...
Let's take a look at that. Yeah, let's take a look at what Anne-Marie is graciously giving. And this will be in the description below, and I'm going to paste these links into the comment for anybody watching live right now. So we're going to take a look at the first one here. So the 2023 energy forecast or the energetic code?
Let's go with the energetic code because we're on that theme right now. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So just pulling
and I've
this one
created
up.
this book as well to be able to look at people in your life, your family, your friends. Like, you can start to figure out their energetic code as well and see how you relate to them.
Cool. Okay, so basically it's a free ebook. Align your purpose, amplify your gifts. Okay, so if we go here, it's a very simple opt-in form. What do people get when they go here? So they get a guide, basically.
Yes, I created an ebook to show everybody how to do the calculations. And then I highlighted every single ruling number, their unique gifts and blessings, the spiritual assignments they have.
Okay.
We also look at different resources to access to align with your code. So I love essential oils. So I've paired every single number with an essential oil and an aligning thought or a mantra in order for us to like really start to fully embody the energy of that number.
Cool. And so like I just put in so I'm getting something personalized here too, right? Like this isn't just like something that's like, you know, generic. This is actually like a personalized report that took me a bit of typing and 2 clicks. And as this thing loads, I see it's working hard.
Yeah.
Here we go. Wow, this is beautiful.
Thanks.
This is really nice.
I love creating. So there's the details of like a general description of numerology, how to calculate your ruling number. If you scroll, there's some spots for you to add your personal ruling number in, calculate it, and other family members or friends. You can use this in a business setting as well. So I've done this with my virtual assistant. There's many things that we did from a numerology perspective in order to make sure that we're a really great fit. And then once you calculated it, you can go, you know, through this guidebook and again, look at your gifts and blessings and really start to understand the spiritual assignments or the potential challenges that you're going to have in this lifetime.
I love the titles you've given to the numbers. This is the best the clearest I've seen, to be honest.
Good.
Yeah, this is really great. Just letting people know, like I've tried numerology several times and haven't gotten too far, but I think what Anne-Marie's got here is it's really awesome. It's really clear to understand. So I would definitely check this out.
Thank you. Again, I want it to be simple. I want it to be accessible. I want it to be very easy to understand. And I want people to be able to automatically integrate it into their lives and their business. What's the point in getting a giant astrological report or a numerology report or even your human design if you don't know how to actually integrate it and implement it in your life and business?
Exactly. You know, like what's the point of a 45-page report on these cryptic terms that, you know, it's basically, okay, I've got to know if I'm that interested and motivated. I'm surprised that works for people. Like, oh, I've got to learn what this like left angle cross of the Maya means. That's like human design, right? It's like, it doesn't sound relatable in any way, whereas this is just like, you know, intuition and unity, you know, momentum and wisdom, right? Like these are things that we can all relate to as being, you know, traits that either we're working at embodying in our life or things that we want to bring in or maybe challenges that we face as well.
Yeah. And when we go deeper in the layers, numerology was embedded in a deck of cards. So again, when I heard this, it blew my mind. Obsessed as a child, who wants to play crazy eights, go fish, whatever, I'm in. And I'm still like that to this day. If I go camping, I've got my deck of cards. I'm like, who wants to play euchre? Like, what do you got? And then when I realized that we've hidden all of the knowledge and information of numerology in a deck of cards, absolutely blew my mind. I'm like, what does this mean? So the
tarot's heading to the deck of cards too. It's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
it's incredible.
Tarot was a spin-off of numerology in the deck of cards, and they're very much connected. So then we get to uncover the work that we are here to do. So we're actually all assigned a card, and then there's also a cosmic reward. So by stepping in and doing this work, for me, it's a 7 of clubs. So I have that 7 energy. The clubs is about beliefs, is about communication, is about technology, which was very interesting to me. So I'm like, I've always struggled with technology and I have like done this. And now I understand why. It's like, it's my frequency that I put off. And if I'm doing something that frustrates me, well, then that's what I'm doing. So now I'm like, Archangel Mike, come on. I'm talking to David tonight from Bali, and I don't want there to be any like glitches. So I know that about me. But the Seven of Clubs is this spiritual teacher.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard that, it honestly, it upset me because I think I've known it all along, but I ignored it. I've known it all along, but I was afraid of it. I've known it all along, but I definitely worried that if I stood in that power, that the people that like me and love me wouldn't like me or love me anymore.
Yeah. And that can be useful looking at those things we don't want to face, right? It's like, how hard is that question? It's like, tell me the thing that I don't want to hear. Like sometimes when I'm working, you know, so when I'm doing intuitive work, I ask myself, it's like, what's the thing that I don't want to hear right now? But we don't trust it because it's the thing we don't want to hear.
Can I get a signier sign, please? Like,
can I get another one? Can I get a confirmation card happening here?
Get another confirmation card coming in because I just really don't want to accept this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then by doing that work, then I realized that, okay, what would it look like? Like, what if I just stepped into this? What if I started sharing all of my spiritual knowledge and wisdom? And I'm like you, David, where I was awakened very early in life. The first person that passed away in front of me happened when I was 5 years old. And I think that's what opened the portal of psychic abilities to me. And it wasn't a wake up. It was like this slow progress of spiritual awakening. And then it did hit a turning point where like everything did open up, but it was a little bit slower. And I realized that when I owned this and I stepped into it, then I accessed another layer of my code that gave me cosmic rewards. And the cosmic reward that I experience is the Four of Hearts, which is success in family and relationships and business. So like this person that wants it all. And I'm like, oh, that's totally me. And that's also the client that I described in 2015, which is in numerology, the Four of Hearts. And I had this big aha moment. And then I also realized that in 2019, leaving a partner that I was with for 11 years, who was a really great person, but just not aligned, opened the doors for me finding cosmic love and creating my own family. And it might not be exactly what I was trying to create, you know, that old version of me that thought she could control everything. But now I've stepped into this life where I have deep cosmic love, and I do have a family, and I do have successful business. And that couldn't have happened if I didn't step in the work as a spiritual teacher. So now I know when I speak to my audience, I'm speaking to this person who, yes, they want to be successful, but they don't want that success if there's not deep, meaningful relationships in their life.
Yeah.
There's no point. What's the point if I don't have somebody to share it with?
Exactly. So again, it goes to that when their cup is full in business, it flows out to other parts of life, and other parts of their life flow into their business, which means you want to have good relationships. You want to be able to go for a drink with a client.
Yeah. And it also means that when my clients show up, sometimes the check-in is, oh, my husband and I got into a fight this morning. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the funnel that I'm creating. And then we unpack that for 15, 20 minutes of what that looks like. And it's all related. It's all connected. The thing that they were arguing about was money. And this person is coded for abundance, to be a master of abundance, to be a master of wealth, to access that power and to share those gifts with other people. So by doing that work with her husband, she is doing the work and is also helping her in her business and creating that success. So it's all connected. And I have 2 9s in my birthday, so it means that I can be critical and judgmental and a perfectionist, but the high vibration of that is being able to see the bigger picture, being able to really see the full vision, like the forest amongst the trees. And now I can see that for a lot of people as well. We're like, well, if your family and friends, if relationships aren't flowing, then that will have this negative impact in your business. And this is what it looks like.
Right on.
Yeah.
Wow. This has been an awesome chat.
Thanks.
about numerology, about life, about spiritual business, about, how business can be more fun. And I think we covered it all. I think we really hit on everything here, and got some numbers. And there's some cool gifts. So people can leave here. They can go and get the energetic code, Anne-Marie's free giveaway, and you can start on this path if you want to get there faster, or maybe see the things with more clarity, or maybe get validation. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way, for getting validation for something, because it's sometimes I hear it a lot from people. They have trouble listening to their intuition. So there's a very clear sign that says right here, we've made it easy for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just before we finish, is there anything else you'd like to share with the listeners of this podcast?
Yes. The one thing that we didn't dive into this talk, but I just want to mention briefly, is that there is an energy in each day, an energy in each month, and an energy in each year. And understanding those energies will support you in connecting with the collective consciousness. When we get emails from people where we open them and they're like, were they in my meditation this morning? Did they read my journal from what I wrote last night? These are people who are astrologers, numerologists, who have tapped in, dialed into the energies of the universe, and are speaking to us from that collective consciousness. So we are in a 7 energy year. And this is a year that there's a rebirth of spiritual awakening. It's inviting all of us to have fierce faith and to cultivate more trust. So if you're somebody who, what do I got going on this year? What is my focus? I want to really encourage you to focus on cultivating more fierce faith and trust. And that means strengthening your intuition. 7's just a spiritual badass in terms of a number. And it loves action and it loves momentum. It really is, it's one, I'm biased. I'm a 7 of clubs, but there's a lot of energetic layers to play with, and day energy and month energy and year energy is just another aspect of that. And we also have a personal energy forecast as well. So it just keeps going and going and going. The beauty of this magic. And I think why I'm mentioning this is because it also supports us in bringing this magical to the practical, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that as well, because I guess it shows that the reality is all coded in one way or another, and that those that can read the code behind it can understand a clearer path for themselves. So thank you very much. This has been such a wonderful conversation. And Carolina's saying, thank you so much. This was awesome. I jumped in very late, but looking forward to watching from the start. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. And yes, I hope everybody got a lot out of this, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Take care.
Thanks, David.
This is Octave Leap. Innovation, regeneration, and human optimization.